What's up, everybody? Welcome back to yet another episode of Editing Your Photos. Episode 7. Changed up the title a little bit, but the format is the same. Yesterday, I asked you guys to email your images to pmeditsmyshots@gmail.com. That is the email address to send these photos to. If they go anywhere else, they're immediately deleted and you'll never be featured. And I always preface these videos, I can't do this. I always preface these videos by saying, these are just my edits. I'm not claiming that I'm making the photo better. Thank you to everyone that submitted, and it takes courage to submit your raw work to be edited and viewed by hundreds of thousands of people online. And with those things out of the way, let's jump into photo number 1. That was really official. Let's jump in to photo number 1. Let's start off with Anirudh Shangari. I am, again, very sorry if I've pronounced any of your names incorrectly, which is most certainly the case. It says, "Hi Peter, hope you're doing well. Attached my submission for Editing Your Photos episode 7. This picture was taken in BC. Thanks for inspiring us. Cheers." A good old Canadian landscape. Love that. Epic horseshoe road. Seen this before. That vantage is great. And we got some cool heavy fog coming in. And I feel like it's easy to say, I want to make this more moody. That's my style anyway, making a photo more moody. The more I say that, and the more I hear people talk about moody photos, the more I feel like rolling my eyes. I'm not sure why, I just think moody itself as a term is becoming trendy within photography, but maybe it's not, and I'm just inside my own head, which I typically am, and I'm like, I can't make this video! Ah! Thank you for submitting a raw photo. If you don't know why, watch Camera Basics 3, and let's take a look at my edit, which is right here. Let me walk you through a little bit of what I did here. First things first, I played around with a couple of my presets. I like using those as a base. I scroll through a lot of them to see what might work, what might not work. Sometimes they're a little bit too intense, sometimes they just don't work at all, but it's a good base to start so you can then start tweaking down from where a preset lands you. Especially if you have a style that you're trying to be consistent with online or throughout your portfolio, running those same presets and then kind of editing down from there and using it as a roadmap. Found one that I liked, and from there we are desaturating the greens, but also making them richer in how bright or dark they are. I don't want them to be too light. I don't want to lift the shadows too much because there's a lot of trees and mountains here. So if the shadows are really, really lifted, you're gonna get like an overload of sharpness and detail. So I'm not looking for that. Now the water in BC and Calgary, like Alberta, Banff, those different places, typically looks this blue. I tweaked it a little bit. Sometimes it can be more on the green side. I just moved it ever so slightly to the blue side with the HSL tabs. You guys know I love those. And then I added some fog myself. The sky, there's no detail in it. It's just full white, it's blown out. So to try to make that a little bit of a softer transition, I threw some extra fog on top of the mountains to make it look like more of a foggy day. And that's pretty much that. This does the job for me. I like it. I edited it to my style, so I'm not saying I made it better than the original, but it's definitely suited to something that I would post online. So great capture, a dope spot. I need to get over there one day and get one of them horseshoe road photos. Okay, this next one was probably my favorite of the entire batch of photos that we edited for this episode, submitted by Remy Silva from Carson City, Nevada. And Remy says, "It would be an honor to have you edit one of my photos." That's all we know. It was submitted raw, so thank you for that. And this shot was beautifully captured. The car is tack sharp, but we have motion blur on the street and on the background, so the car looks like it's just mobbing, just ripping down that track. The tires have a beautiful spin on them. Everything looks really nice as is. Like the other photos, went through some presets of mine, figured out which one that I liked the best. I really liked Banger, the preset, and Full Send. So I actually made 2 versions of this in Lightroom. Right-click, create virtual copy. And I applied a preset to each one of those photos, a different one to each one of those photos. From there, I sent them both into Photoshop by right-clicking, edit in Photoshop. From there, I pasted them on top of each other, and then I masked out the background so that I could keep the preset on the car that I liked, but then also have a preset on the background that I liked better. So basically, editing 2 photos, merging them as one, and then from there, we got to work. Masking was one of the biggest jobs, but the second biggest job that goes unnoticed by some of the friends I sent this to is I actually got rid of both drivers. The dude in the passenger seat was just kind of distracting. Painted over that. Just grabbed a brush tool in the eyedropper, found the exact color of the seat, and just painted him away. And the driver, I didn't get rid of the driver. Like, I guess I did get rid of the driver. I put a NASCAR driver in just to make this look a little more official and legit, like there was someone actually racing this car on a track with a helmet and a suit on. So I played around with a few different options. ended up just getting like most of the helmet and a little bit of the hands up on the wheel, and then I just fit it right into place. Tried a few different options with the helmet, visor up, visor down, having someone's face in there. I ended up landing on using some goggles, and I took the reflection from that goggle and put it onto the helmet, which I also painted out to make my own visor. So it's kind of like this weird hybrid helmet made up of 2 images plus my own random painting. And then lastly, I replaced the sky. This was mostly blown out, so the sky I put in isn't anything massively dramatic, but it just adds a little detail back to the photo. So I'm taking a look at the raw and then taking a look again side by side of the 2 edits. I'm psyched on this one. I'm really happy with this one. This might even be the thumbnail. I couldn't tell you right now because I haven't decided yet in the moment you're watching this, but oh, it's a contender. Remy, thank you so much for submitting that photo. Great capture, and all the best. On to the next one. From one Patrick Johnson. Patrick did not include any information with his submission, and he did not submit it raw. It was a JPEG, so you can only go so far with the JPEG. You can see just going down my preset pack list how, shameless plug. A photo this even with this light would look good with pretty much any preset that you use on it, any edit. This is the final version, which I'm quite happy with. It's a little desaturated and heavy on the orange. It just looks great. It's, dare I say, moody. Sorry. I did a couple different masks within Lightroom to just really make the subject pop, and I also put a gradient on the bottom to just darken up the foreground of this hill that our subject's sitting on. This didn't take much work, and usually photographs that are captured properly in camera don't take much work unless you're trying to add a NASCAR driver to the inside of a car that was never there. Great capture. Thanks for submitting. Patrick, if you're watching this, comment so we can know who you are and drop your Instagram handle in there. Thank you, my friend. On to the next one. From Max Ortner. He says, 2 very unique pictures of a beautiful church captured 2 months ago in Austria. This is one of those photos where sometimes you just look at it, it looks amazing right out of camera, looks like it was snowing, you got some cool foreground, just the peak of that church poking through. Epic dramatic fog. Notice I said dramatic, not moody. This is just a 1 preset click edit. I have one called Pirate Life. I knew it would be great. Sorry that this sounds like I'm plugging. This is the vibe kind of my second Instagram account that it just fit perfect. So I just saw it and I knew it would work. That's all I did. I did nothing else but run a simple preset on this. So Max, thank you for submitting. Hope you like the edit. Not much needed, because you're a boss. Next up, Raoul Line says, hey man, check out my shot at the top of Sulphur Mountain in Banff. I love Banff. If you haven't been able to tell yet. Into photography now because of you, so thanks for igniting that creative drive. Well, it's my absolute pleasure, and literally whenever I hear people say that, it's awesome. That's exactly why we're here doing what we're doing. A little bit of criticism right off the bat. Raoul, next time submit a raw photo to me. It would help massively. I was only able to push this photo so far because the more I would lift the shadows or drop the highlights or shift the tone of blue that I wanted from more of an aqua to a deeper blue, the image would just start to posterize and you'd get all those grains coming out and it would just look bad, and I had to be real gentle with this photo. So I went with kind of like the vibe of a film camera, like a film snap. Wanted to lift the blacks, add grain to hide the compression that this photo went under when it was being saved. So this is my edit, looking from the original to this. Not much difference, right? But I wanted it to look like maybe it was just snapped with a film camera, like an old rangefinder. Didn't do a whole lot, didn't need a whole lot. I just liked it. I liked the framing. I liked how it kind of looked like a tunnel of trees. What would be cool? See that tree sticking out of the middle? Imagine a big snowy owl sitting on that tree. Just get chills thinking about it. Whew. Thank you for submitting. Hope you enjoyed Banff. Next up is from someone by the name of Zaz. Eddie Zaz, I'm gonna call you Zaz. Zaz Khan. Hey Peter, took this a couple weeks ago in Chicago with my head stuck out the car window with a bunch of snow on my face. Hope you like it. That's awesome that you snapped this out of your car window. That's dope. This looks great. Snow's flying, obviously, coming right at you. Got that Chicago sign, staple. When I like to edit night photos, I take out as much of like the warm tones as I can, especially for a winter night photo, just because for me it just makes sense. When I think of winter night Chicago, I think cool tones, I think a cold image. The only kind of warmth I want is coming from street lights, tail lights, the Chicago sign itself. I just don't want the whole image to be orange, amber. So looking at my edit, this is what it looks like. Bam, you can see I've done exactly that. I've even moved the tint more towards purple to bring out that real night vibe. And if you've seen some photos of mine over the past couple months from winter, those types of vibes are the same thing I tried to instill in this photo. So, and one of the things that really helped us out is going down to the lens corrections within Lightroom and choosing auto, which took it from kind of a weird slant this way to upright. So now the proportions, especially when you're shooting a lot of architecture, it really helps fix that perspective. And I also cropped the car out of the corner so it doesn't look like you were flying out of a car window. It just looks like a nice, you're walking down the street, you stopped, snapped a photo. Kudos for moving and being able to nail that in focus with that tack sharpness. So great photo, hope you like the edit, and yeah, keep your hands clean. Next up, Gavin. I'm 17 and I've been in love with photography for about 7 years now, which is incredible. This dude was taking photos when he was 10. You know what I was doing when I was 10? Nothing. I'm in an AP photography class for my high school and I'm using this photo for my final project. I love your channel and would love for you to take on one of my photos. My Instagram is boop. Right when I saw this, I was like, that's a cool capture. 17 years old, this is dope, man. Hair looks great, subject's cool, bare feet, love the bare feet touch, middle of the road. So if I go over to what I think is probably Gavin's edit, this is what we're looking at, and that looks great. I love the gradient of the sky, I love the purple, I love the sunset, and honestly, this doesn't need any changes, man. You were crushing it. This looks so good. So my style, when I approached your edit, I wanted it to look more like a film photo. That's, as you guys can tell, that's the theme. I used to shoot on a Contax 645. Fuji Pro 400H film was my favorite. I used to shoot weddings on film. Having that natural film grain and just like not needing to really post-process anything because film looks so good out of camera. This photo reminded me of the style of photography I used to try to aim for when I was shooting film. Just felt like it needed to be a little more washed out. Unfortunately for me, because the sunset looks so good and that gradient looks so good, I wanted to kind of just subdue it a little bit and get rid of it a little bit more. So this is my edit. If we're gonna go ahead and take a look at that. I brightened it up quite a bit, brought out the orange in her shirt, shined up the brunette hair a little bit. Didn't need it, but it kind of makes it a little more three-dimensional. But it was a great photo. It was very easy to edit. I had a great time doing it. And 17 years old, you are crushing it. So awesome job. I hope you like this edit. Not the same at all to yours. Doesn't mean one's better than the other, but yeah, that's my take on your shot. So thanks so much, and I hope you get a good grade. So if your teacher's watching this, give the dude a good grade. What are you doing? A+. I don't know why I went to like straight aggression there. Yeah. Teaching the young. Good job. All right, next up is Avinash Kalra. I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, but we have a beautiful photo of an apple pie. Unfortunately, this individual didn't provide any details at all and submitted a JPEG. And I would love to eat this apple pie right now. Loved the foreground, loved the set decoration for this photo. That's what I loved about it. That cup in the background, which looks like some hand-spun pottery, the table that it's sitting on, the nuts and candies kind of just strewn about with the leaves and the red apple in the background, the green apple in the foreground. Thought was put into this image, but this is what the edit looks like after the fact, and I didn't change a whole bunch, but make it look a little more like homey, warm, saturated, added some grain, a little bit of contrast and clarity, and muted the green so they had that kind of artsy painting vibe to it, and I'm super pumped with this. Love this photo. It's one of those things that reminds me too, like, it's not always about the most epic landscape. It's not always a boot. I'm from Canada. It's not always about, is that how an American would say it? It's not always about, I don't know why I went Southern there, if that was even Southern. It's not always, is there another word for about? It doesn't always come down to epic photos, epic landscapes. Sometimes just seeing a really nice, simple photo that reminds you of home or just something you grew up with is just as great. So that's what this did for me, and that's what photography is about. That's what art's about. So this was one of my favorites, believe it or not. Great capture. Comment below if this was yours so that we can find you. Next up, we have a photo from Halvard. It says, this photo was taken from my hike last summer in a place in Norway, which I cannot pronounce. After a long day, we finally could walk out to this beautiful rock formation right before sunset. So taking a look at this raw photo, it looks great. There's a lot of detail, there's a lot of depth. This photo just goes and goes into the distance. It reminds me of The Lion King, and I love it. So this dude standing on this rock looks great. Got a lot of blues and a lot of greens in this, but I feel because his text said we waited all day, it should be a little more warm, a little more sunny, sunset. The sun's coming down, the sun's getting real low, big guy.
The sun's getting real low.
So I warmed it up, again, went for the film look, subdued, lowered the contrast, lowered the clarity actually to get rid of detail because there was so much of it in all the rocks and mountains because it's a, look at this place. That is ridiculous. I would love to stand there. I need to stand there. I'm going to stand there. I'm super happy with how it came out. It's subtle, but it's a pretty photo, and it was already amazing to begin with. So that concludes the photos that I edited for this episode. If you're still here watching, thank you so much. And to everyone that submitted, thank you. I couldn't make these without you guys putting yourselves on the line and letting me edit your photos, be it that you like them or you don't, or I did a good job or I didn't. I just really enjoy it. That's it. I love editing, if you hadn't noticed yet. So hit that like button if you liked this video. I would appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Join the fam. We post lots of fun stuff, guys. We have a good time here. Don't you want in? I lost my train of thought. It's hard to fake sneeze. You guys know a few years ago I got prescribed glasses because I'm nearsighted. Is it farsighted or nearsighted? When, I don't know, objects further away driving at night, I can't see them. I mean, I can see them. They just look like 1080p, and when I put these on, they look 4K. But I have 20/20 vision, so I kind of think I got scammed. Backwards? Backwards or forwards? How does it look with a hat? I found them the other day because I keep rubbing my eyes all the time. I just touch my face. Gotta be careful these days. So I thought this is a nice shield. I don't even know where I was anymore. Ah! You ever put hand sanitizer on, blow on your hands, and it's super cold. Eyes in the helmet, like the visor was up. Tried a few different options, like having eyes in the visor. All right, coming down to the wire. We're getting down low.